Question to Jake Johnson, owner of Jake's Diner on State Street, to let me start writing about his life. I have been a frequent customer of the diner, harking back to the day when it was Monica's. I have always been fascinated by people's backstories. You know, the stories that sometimes we want to tell about ourselves, but are often reluctant to share. The stories that we hope might lend some encouragement to others who have had similar experiences, or perhaps we just don't want our stories to evaporate into thin air after we pass. Jake and I started this project many years ago. No, 2 years ago. I thought it would be finished within 6 months, and then life happened. COVID hit, and we were all scrambling to get into our caves and stay put. And for a time period, Jake's Diner was closed. And then other life events happened. And Jake has been ever patient. Oh no, I'm going to compete with Amtrak. All right, most of the writing has occurred at the diner, and special thanks to his fiancée, Nikki, with the regulars at the diner. So this chapter is titled Family. What is family? Who is family? Are they just the folks that are related through blood? The ones who we sit down with at Thanksgiving and look across the table and wonder sometimes, how in the world can I be related to these people? There is a fabulous definition of family that was presented by Mother Teresa, where she states, the problem with the world is that we draw the circle of our family too small. As I enter Jake's Diner, I always feel like my family is right behind that door. Jake's Diner encourages relaxation and intimacy because on the shoulders of Nikki and Jake, that's who they are. They are careful of boundaries, but at the same time, sensitive to the fact that sometimes customers need to unload a bunch of worries. In between taking orders, filling coffee cups, skirting back and forth to the back to retrieve hot food, Nikki is always willing to lend an ear to a discussion about life. How she manages to do the permutations in her head to remain attentive to all the customers while listening with attention to a lonely soul is beyond me. She is a picture of balance, compassion, and intelligence. The discussions can range from health issues to the latest round of town gossip. Yeah, we gossip. A lot. Endless queries about how someone might have passed away. I spoon up a lot to think about myself, even when I don't know the particular customer Nikki is talking with. And Jake keeps an eagle eye on customer satisfaction. He tells me he can feel if a customer has the slightest irritation by the way the counter stool swirls around. If it's a fast retreat from the counter, it can go either way. The customer is satisfied, or the customer wants to get the hell out of there. The latter rarely happens, but Jake catalogs each body language transaction. An oasis is created at Jake's Diner, so little tolerance of regulars or even newbies acting out happens. Just like a brush fire, it is easily extinguished. And during all the upheaval caused by the landing of the COVID-19 virus, there was still a hearty set of soups to choose from and specials for the day, like barbecued ribs, mashed potatoes, and something green. Bill Cornish was not a blood relative of Jake's, even though Jake referred to him as Uncle Bill. And what makes a relationship like that so family-like? Maybe because Bill was always there with encouraging words and helpful advice, and maybe because it is as simple, yet as profound as Bill always believed in Jake and his talents. Jake certainly had blood relatives who were instrumental in his life. One was his father's older brother, who in Jake's words, you know, an overall good person who taught me a lot. He was a master smoker, slim build, who grew up in South Carolina. We hunted together, and I have stories about the time he was trying to shoot a raccoon in a tree, and he was doing it by shooting up a hill, which you never do, and you shouldn't go shooting down a hill either. I have to admit, I was trying to visualize all this while frankly rooting for the raccoon. And I interrupt the story to ask, so did he get the raccoon? Jake responds, shaking his head with, "No, we didn't." And all we could hear was a bunch of pellets going through the trees. He kind of gave up hunting after that and turned to raising chickens and goats. He was a part of my growing up, and an important part, and our stories were many. A light bulb moment for me as I tighten up a definition of family, and I'm thinking, yep, it's perhaps the many stories that get woven into our upbringing that become the catalyst for forming family bonds, along with many of the stories we have as we get older and hopefully mature. I think recently to my experience at writing retreat in Gulf Shores, Alabama, where I met with 25 other writers from all over the country, with most of them from Mobile, Alabama. And those Southern writers sure know how to write. We shared our vulnerability about writing and shared stories that were often hilarious and heartbreaking. I was honored to have my first chapter from my memoir, Not All Dogs Go to Heaven, was recognized in the top 10 out of 100 entries. And when I sent a text telling Jake about this, he responded with, "I told you so." And maybe that's what it all comes down to, is someone saying and believing in you, "I told you so," with the underlying message, "I got your back. I knew you could do it. You're on a roll. You're family."